Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. It is a beautiful Sunday. I just got back from my Cozy Gal weekend. Oh my gosh, I definitely needed it. I need a break. Here's the thing. I have gone on holiday trips. I've had this family emergency that has happened. And I don't know, because the holidays is kind of like a break in itself. But almost when you are running around holidays or special celebrations or special circumstances, it takes away from actually just being present. And I feel like I've just been running so hard, honestly, in the last year, but also especially in the last couple weeks. And I had this Cozy Gal weekend. If you didn't know, I host a social club in Kansas City, 3 to 4 events every single month. And I had created this event back in October, November ish, because I was hosting my 1-year anniversary. We had a little gala and I wanted something that was to look forward to after the holidays. And I never knew, I guess I didn't see the foresight, right? I didn't know how much I would actually need this past weekend of just hanging out with really good people, open to connection. We rented an Airbnb in Kansas City. It had a hot tub, and that was my favorite part. I love water. I love a hot tub aesthetic, and I don't know, just sitting in a hot tub was so much fun. But I was reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. I'm gonna butcher the name. It's oh my gosh, it's basically you need to have a purpose. But I can't remember exactly which it was called. I just keep referring to it as the Arnold Schwarzenegger book. And anyways, he talks about how after a long day, or he always tries to have mental clarity. He's either holding space, or he is meditating, all of the things, going for walks. But he also said that he does a lot of his deep thinking in the hot tub. And I was like, you know what? I was reading it in December this year, or last year, I guess. And he was talking about, he referenced it. He said, yeah, after a long, hard day, I like to sit in the hot tub with a stogie, like a cigar. And I could vividly see exactly what he was talking about. And he's like, with the bubbles going all around me, the jacuzzi jets. I was like, what a dream. What an awesome, representation of relaxation, right? And after this weekend, I don't know how and I don't know when, but I do know I want a hot tub so bad. And it was snowy still. We got quite a bit of snow in Missouri, and it hadn't quite melted yet. So it was magical. And I had a lot of time to think this weekend, because the activities were really geared towards just being, 1, cozy, 2, being present, but also giving space to do nothing. I feel like I truly always have something planned. I'm always running around doing the next thing. And this Cozy Gal weekend was based around crafting. I made a quilt for my mom in November for her 50th birthday. I gifted it to her during Thanksgiving. But as I was making the quilt, I knew that I wanted to have a weekend where I could just do something that I loved, that I could be with friends. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, because I had 5 other girls want to come and craft and hang out. We made dinners. It was so much fun. I made sourdough loaves for, we had soup on Saturday. I made chicken and gnocchi. Friday night, we did homemade pizzas, and it was just such a good feeling to just be with friends and to take a mental load off, just have some mental clarity. I have this journal I talked to you guys about in the last episode where I was putting photos or like a dream journal in it. I hadn't quite finished it. It's still not yet finished because I'm like journaling and pasting in the photos. So I got to do that this weekend where I was just looking at the photos and I was just dreaming. I was allowing my mind to take a break from some of like the heavy things I've experienced in the last 3 weeks. And it was so needed. And often like we don't take the breaks that we need, or if you are like working a lot and you look to a vacation, you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this for a vacation. But vacations are also so much work, right? Like you have to prepare around them. And I will say, like, I had to bring my KitchenAid. I brought my coffee maker. I obviously like cooked and hosted these girls, but it was so much fun to just like take a break. It almost was like a staycation, but not being in my home, which was nice. Not that I don't love my 2 dogs and husband, but it was a gals weekend. It was a girls trip without it being like the pressure of like going on a trip and seeing things and doing things. Like it was chill. It was so chill. We were in comfortable clothes and just being together. Honestly, we watched some movies. And of course, like I said, the highlight was being in the hot tub. And it's pretty cold, right? Like it's the end of January. We are in winter, right? And so we get the hot tub the first night, Friday night, we all get into the hot tub, right? And as we get into the hot tub, we had taken the cover off and we got in and I'm like, this hot tub doesn't feel like as hot as it could be. Like it kind of felt like warm bath water, right? But it was bubbly and it was obviously a lot warmer than the air around us. So I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. And we got in, we were chattering. We stayed in for quite some time because my fingers were so wrinkly. I've not had my fingers that wrinkly in like a hot minute. But we were just like talking and connecting and laughing and all the things that are so good for your like mind, body, spirit, right? And then the second night, a couple of us so we went out to supper on Saturday. We went to a dinner, which was nice because I had cooked Friday night, cooked breakfast, cooked lunch, and I knew I was going to make breakfast on Sunday, right? And so we got to go out to eat on Saturday night, and that was fun to have service somewhere else. But afterwards, like a couple girls went to grab a drink. I don't drink. I wanted them to have fun, but I knew I still had obligations at the house. Like I needed to, we did these little sweatshirt crafts. If you're watching on YouTube, we put Golden Gal, little iron-on vinyls on them. And then I had picked up like a bunch of these little transferable icons or patches, if you will. I put basic stars on mine, and then my left wrist has my initials LLM, but everybody else, they got to pick what they put on their sweatshirt. And I knew that we would be like doing that craft and I needed to pick up a bit. So I came home, I didn't go to the second place for a drink. And then one of my other friends had came too. And I was like, do you want to get in the hot tub? She was like, absolutely. Even though it was cold, I love being in the water and it being outside. It seriously was so magical, right? Just to be like in the night in the city, you could see lights. I don't know how to explain better than I needed it. I needed this weekend so much. And I know that the girls were like, we need this weekend, but I don't think that they realized how much they filled my cup and just like being present. Like it wasn't like, I don't know, grief is so hard. So I'm like still obviously like so fresh. And, but while we're in the pool, it was Brittany and I are in the hot tub. So we go out and we have our swimsuits on. And I was like, okay, instead of taking the cover completely off, let's just take the cover half off. So it folded like a book almost. And then we kept half of it on. We get in the water. We were trying to keep the steam in. That was our mindset. Okay, keep the steam in. Maybe it will stay warmer. And then soon we were I went in because I had to use the restroom. I had to pee so bad. I was like, I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back. So I got out of the hot tub, walked across the deck, right? Went inside, the house is warm. It's toasty. It feels so good. Then coming back out on the deck and being like ice cold because of the water from the hot tub, being like damp, like my hair is starting to get wet. I was so cold and I like ran across the deck, got back into the hot tub. But when I got to the hot tub, I could not see Brittany. I was like, oh my gosh, I literally, it took me 3 minutes, I think, round trip. She had like drifted underneath the cover. And so like we definitely had our head in the water slightly. But there was a good like 5 to 6 inches, maybe not that much, maybe like 5 to 4 inches above the cover, and we like floated under the cover and we'd chat a little bit and then we'd go back out. It was seriously so much fun just to be in a hot tub. But I can definitely tell what Arnold was talking about, like being in a hot tub in the evening, like it's such a magical experience. And I definitely like, because I'd worked on my vision journal, my dream journal, this past weekend, I was like, I've got to go print off a photo of a hot tub and paste it in, because there is nothing I want more. Like that is one of my biggest goals for 2025 is to get a hot tub. And I know we're going to spring, obviously, like it's the end of January. We're going to have February and March, but then it's spring, right? And I'm looking forward to spring for sure. But it's never too early to get a hot tub for next fall or next winter. And obviously, like there's going to be cold days. So we'll see when I can get it all sorted out. But I just used this weekend to like think and be present and, working in the kitchen, making a meal from scratch is really healing as well, because it allows your mind to just like focus on what is right in front of it. I'm not worried about the other things. I'm like, okay, we are chopping the onion. And if a thought does come while I'm like cooking in the kitchen, I acknowledge it. Sometimes it just gives good space to like think about that, issue or problem or thought that has come into my mind, how I'm going to work through it, what I'm going to do with it. And it was just a great time. The house was beautiful. It was huge. The primary bedroom, was great. The bed was great. It's super, super comfortable. But then it had these like little French doors that go into the bathroom. It had a huge, massive tub, a shower that had like this beautiful glass paneling. Like it seriously was so stunning. But being in a beautiful environment also just like helps me envision and imagine like, okay, for updates for the house that we're in, right? Like painting a wall or our cabinets. Like if we update our cabinets, the cabinets in this home were like green with like these really nice silver, handles, really heavy duty, lots of storage. They had a gas stove, and I've not had a gas stove since I was a kid. My dad used to have one in the house, and I remember like doing marshmallows on them in the house. But now we have like a glass top, and glass top was like really, really popular for the last, 8 to 10 years. Everyone's getting like these glass tops, but there was something about having like that flame in the house and having like the metal top. I really loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, like I want this. But just putting yourself in something, or like getting close to the things that you want, or surrounding yourself with the thoughts or the need for something additional, right? Like being next to a hot tub, I can think about the future, because right now I'm really needing to like focus on the future, and good things are still coming, and just like center my mindset around that. But Cozy Gal Weekend, oh my gosh, I seriously, I couldn't have asked for a better weekend with the best gals, hanging out and not really having the pressure or the feeling of like, I'm at home, so I have to do this or I have to do that. However, I absolutely would be lying if I didn't say that I am so tired. I'm so exhausted. We stayed up so late. It's fun hanging out with friends, right? Like talking, giggling, getting to know one another. I feel like as adults, we don't get sleepovers as often. And we, of course, like some of the movies we watched are definitely like from my childhood. We watched Princess Diaries, and 1 and 2, and we also watched Parent Trap. We watched Parent Trap first, and just like the camp idea, like being with friends and totally separate than your house. Because when you say you go to college, okay, but college, you live with roommates. Sometimes you live with roommates when you're an adult, but it's totally different. It's a totally different style than when you were a kid and you went to camp and you got to hang out and have a bunk mate. And I don't know, it just brought me back to my childhood and staying up super, super late for no reason but to talk and bake cookies and hang out. I seriously, I'm just so grateful for this past weekend. When I got back, my pickup was so full of everything. Friday afternoon, I was like, all right, I got to pack everything up. Because I was hosting, I was cooking the entire time. I knew that they probably wouldn't have a KitchenAid. So I brought my KitchenAid. I brought a waffle maker. I brought my own soup pot. I brought my bean grinder for coffee. I brought my espresso machine. Like, there were so many things that I brought for the weekend. And then on top of that, I was like, okay, I have to have all the groceries. I have to have the ironing board for our sweatshirts. I have to bring the sweatshirts. I have to bring the crafts. I have to bring my crafts. I have to bring my clothes. And guys, let me tell you, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself. I am an overpacker. You know this. This is why I got 4 pieces of luggage for Bays, suitcases for Black Friday. I had picked them up, right? And I ended up doing just the weekender bag. I took on this like little weekend trip. And when I tell you I was romanticizing my life like crazy, it was insane. So I have this weekender bag and I have these little packing cubes. They're really cute. But I'm like packing my outfits. And when I tell you, I packed one outfit per day. So Friday, and I made a list. I was so organized with all of this. I was like, here's my list. I wrote it out. I was like, this is what I'm wearing Friday. It was the outfit I had on. I was wearing jeans and a red sweater. I was like, okay, for bed, I'm wearing these pajamas. Day 1, I'm going to wear the pajamas in the morning, obviously. Then we're going to do yoga. I'm wearing this. And then we're going to go out to eat. Like, I fit the 3 days, right? Friday night, okay, I packed pajamas, right? But I packed for Friday night, Saturday day, an outfit change for Saturday day, another pajama set, and Sunday, outfit. I packed all that in my weekender bag, plus my blow dryer, plus my straightener, plus all my makeup and my skincare in the weekender bag. I was so impressed and proud of myself. Oh my gosh, guys, I was so proud. And when I say romanticizing, I was thinking back to like when I was in college. I was like, man, this would have been so nice to like pop over to Garrett's house, or like in college, I was taking stuff over to his house and it was in duffels, or I'd leave stuff. Like I totally was so unorganized. And I just feel like the weekender it seriously is the perfect bag. The weekender, like go on a weekend excursion. And as I was packing my bag and bringing it to this Airbnb, I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like I went to do more weekend trips in the year of 2025 and beyond. But I know, like, if you're on TikTok or chronically online, you've seen the big ass calendar. Like, there has been so many ads for this calendar. It's like, okay, you're going to book out your life this weekend, this weekend, this weekend. And I've also heard it, not from the big ass calendar, but every time I see the big ass calendar, I'm reminded of this person who's like, you need to have like 4 or 1 mini adventure every single month, and then 1 big adventure like every 3 to 4 months. And that way you're not like just looking forward to a vacation once a year, but instead it's like, okay, these little incentives that stack up, like I'm doing this, this is something to look forward to, and you're actually living your life instead of just like working to live, or when you finally get to that vacation having so much stress because this is what you waited for and you're putting all your eggs in this one basket. So I'm looking at the big ass calendar that's like promoted everywhere, and I'm thinking about the weekends. I'm like, okay, there's only 4 weekends in a month. Okay, normally, okay, let's think logically. Okay, 4 weeks in a month, there is only 12 weeks or 12 months in a year. Like, that's not very many weekends. And then you think about the holidays that are thrown in there. And I just want to be more intentional with my weekender bag and have like little mini vacations or little mini trips, something that I can look forward to, something that's not like a super big deal. Like this Airbnb was only, it was split up with friends. It really was cost effective, and we got to hang out, we got to chill, and it wasn't like that big of a lift. Like, it was no big deal. It was Friday night, came back home Sunday, and it was chill. So I'm looking forward to like more mini adventures, little trips that I can go on, little things that I can do. But I will say I was running around with so much pressure. I guess I was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to do this. When I host a bigger event, like this was a bigger thing than like my book club that I host, or I have a gal dinner every once in a while that I do for my social club. This was much more because I'm like hosting these girls like for multiple days, like continuous hours. And I was writing it all down and trying to get together. On top of, I haven't been home for very long. It's been just about a week and a half since I've officially been back home. And I'm leaving again to go visit my mom. So it's like I'm trying to find some sort of routine, but also grasping at straws because there is really like, it's going to be a little hectic before it gets better. So I'm trying to just like figure out what I can do to like help sustain myself and give myself the routine, give myself the comfortability of what needs to be done. So this past week, I have just been trying to recalibrate. Our house was it was in disarray. I will tell you that. We had Christmas stuff up. We had to put items away. I also love to be so meticulous with my environment and really assessing if something needs to stay in my life or if it's ready to move on, if I'm ready to donate it. So I was just going through everything. And while I was going through everything, I was watching Southern Charm. Now, I have probably listened to, I don't know, like a handful of podcasts that have some current members on it. And the only one that is like really prevalent that I can remember is Craig Conaway? I'm going to mess up his last name. But Craig was, he was mentioned on the Toast podcast. I love listening to the Toast. That helps me with my routine, just like popping them on. It's very nostalgic for me to like hear their voice because I've listened to them in so many different stages of my life. But they talked about Craig and the Spritz Society, the little like beverage company that they had. Craig had a discount code. And I got a little confused because I've heard them talk about Summer House, and then there's also been mention of Southern Charm on the Toast. And then I was also listening to the Skinny Confidential. She had a recent podcast, and I cannot remember the gal's name, but she's on the current cast of, sorry, my pants are so big and baggy. These are the little Skims boyfriend pants, but they are like super stretchy, super big, and sometimes they like get caught upon each other. But anyways, I was listening to the Skinny Confidential, and they had one of the most current or most recent guests on. And I was like, okay, I was liking what she was saying, all the things. And I was like, all right, like, I feel like I need to watch it. So I pulled it up on, what was it on? Oh, not Bravo. Peacock. I did it on Peacock and I started watching it. I did not realize it was based in 2014. So I was a sophomore in high school in 2014. So like the style, I remember like the big bubble necklaces being very popular when I was a freshman, sophomore. I remember buying the jewelry. I remember that it was very, very much like this, like kind of Southern charm aesthetic where you would wear turquoise and coral colors and like super cute. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely the aesthetic. I was wearing like bumps in my hair, and I don't know. I guess I never watched Southern Charm until now. Like that's over 11 years ago that this Southern Charm aired. I actually don't know if it's been exactly 11 years or at least 10 years, right? So I was listening to the Skinny Confidential, and I don't remember, like, it definitely was an intriguing podcast. I love listening to people's life stories. I can't remember the gal's name, but I do remember she was like, yeah, you know, I am now the voice of Southern Charm. And when they like recap the previous episodes. So as I'm like listening to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she is the current voice in comparison to whoever is doing it now. And listen, I'm on season 3 now, season 3, episode 2 now. And oh my gosh, what I literally, I cannot think of her name. I know that it starts Cameron. I think it's Cameron. Cameron is the current voice right now. And I just can't help but think, oh my gosh, like when does it transition to the new girl? And in season 2, they introduced Landon, which is girl. One thing that I love about Southern Charm is I feel like the names are kind of switched. So there's a name, a man called, his name is Whitney. And to me, Whitney is more of a feminine name than a masculine name. But then they have Landon, which is to me masculine, but for a girl. And then Cameron as well, right? And my name is Logan. And Logan is traditionally a more masculine name than feminine name. So I love it because I'm like, oh, heck yeah, like this is so much fun. And it just gives me a sense of these people are very similar to me in the aspect of their names, right? But it's been so interesting to see the style previously. Like it was very Lily Plitzer, in 2013, 2014 for me, Vera Bradley, like the Prince, very, very much. And I'm trying to think of the aesthetic. Like we wore blazers to school, which is insane, but very, very much a just like business casual look, if you will. And I've been loving watching it. And I think that I love reality TV so much because one, it's human nature. It's relationship dynamics, being able to look at something from a different perspective and how people react to things in comparison to maybe how you'd react to things. So I love that aspect because I find it so fascinating on just how it all plays out and just relationships in general. But then the second thing is it takes me away from my own life. It gives me something else to focus on. Just like reading a book immerses you in something different than what you're currently experiencing. I feel like movies and reality TV does the same. But movies right now for me, listen, it's fine. It's great. But there's something so vulnerable and real about reality TV. That's why they call it reality because it's everyday life usually. So I have been absolutely enjoying that. I've been watching it as I just try and get my house completely tidied up and all put together. And even this weekend, like that's what also impacted me staying up so late. So I feel like when you are entertaining anybody, whether it be your very best friend, a total stranger, family members, whatever, I need some sort of recharge. So I can host, I can do all the things, but you need some downtime. You need a time and a place to reflect, right? And being in the hot tub was one of them where I was able to reflect, waking up in the morning and doing my skincare routine and making my latte. Like that is time and space that is recharging me. And part of that routine is popping on some Southern Charm. So I've been getting up, I've been making my coffee, and I am leery to just like pull up my phone and like scroll on social media. Instead, I'm trying to find like a different something to entertain me a little bit. And Southern Charm has been really, really fun to watch. There's like 10 or 11 seasons, which makes sense if it was 10 years ago, having a season every single year. But I was getting confused, like I was saying about like there's Southern Charm, there's Summer House, and then there's, I think Fall House is one of the things that one of my friends mentioned. But as I was watching it, she's like, what are you watching? And I told her, and she's like, I just started Summer House. I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, it's like some of the same characters, right? Like we were talking about why I had just started Southern Charm, and she's like, I just started Summer House. And I knew that Craig and his current relationship interests, I'm not sure if they're married or not, that I'm talking about like in 25, right? Like today, reality, like real life. And she was like, yeah, did you hear about the breakup? And I was like, when I tell you, I have no idea about this entire, any of it, that I had just kind of like began it. I can't tell you anything that has happened recently, because when I put the podcast on, like, yes, there are some things that I allow to seep into my brain, like the Skinny Confidential, so many like good lessons that I've accumulated and assessed since I was literally a sophomore in college. But it like sometimes it's just for entertainment purposes. And for the cast member of Southern Charm, like I literally don't remember anything that has happened. So even like listening to the Toast recaps, like I am struggling too, because the cast is, I'm sure, totally different from where we're starting. Because there's Thomas Ravenel is like in it right now. And if he is 50 when it aired, 10 years later, he's 60. Like, I don't know. Like, it is also making me feel so good about not being so behind. Not that these people are behind, and obviously like they have huge bank accounts, but as I'm looking at, the castmates, the youngest one on there was 21. She was going to be 22 in the fall or whatever. And she's the youngest one. Everybody else is like 28, 35, 40, 50. And looking at them and having like, they still have ambitions, they still have goals, and like they're 35 and they're not married and they don't have children. Or one of the gals, she's like in her early 30s, and oh my gosh, these pants are insane. Cameron, she's in her early 30s, and she's like, I don't know, my husband wants a baby, but I'm not sure if we want a baby. Maybe we'll get a dog first. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been so stressed out about just not necessarily like, I think we can all be a little stressed out about one thing or another, or the timeline of our lives and where we thought we would be, marking things off. I have just been, I guess, super, super reflective of what I've done in the past couple of years in comparison to like what I'm going to be doing in the future and all the things, right? And I used to have the mindset that by the time I was 23, I wanted to be, on my second child or my first child, or, done having children. And now my sister Lily will turn 20 in July. And to me, 20, like she's been a teenager up until, July. And I think, oh my gosh, 2021, like she getting married, like watching Southern Charm, like the, one of the cast members, she, and Thomas, who's was 50, a 21-year-old and a 50-year-old get pregnant and they have a baby. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is so young. It's so young. And I used to remember people saying, oh my gosh, like you're so young. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I used to think, as I'm approaching my 30s rapidly, I think, oh my gosh, like 30 used to be like so midlife to me. And now I'm like, truly 40 could be midlife. Because if we think we get 80 years or 90 good years, I'm still just like barely scratching the surface. I'm still like learning so much. There's so much more for me to like do and accomplish, and the greatest years are still to come. The best memories that I'll look back on are still yet to come. And watching Southern Charm, even though it's just plain reality TV, makes me so appreciative and grateful of where I'm at and the presence of where I'm at. So but yeah, I've been watching that pretty heavy. It's been so good. I literally started it this week and have been watching it. I might lose interest. I do that a lot where I'll start a show and then I won't finish the show. I've only finished a handful of shows. The very first show that I think I've ever finished was Orange is the New Black. And then I wish I could say I finished The Office, but I still have not watched the very last episode. It was too sentimental, but I practically finished that one. And I'm talking about full cast seasons. Like there's been so many shows where they'll pop up for like season 1 or season 2, but then they don't continue on. It's just like one hit wonder, or it was this one thing. And I don't necessarily count those as like finishing a show, because like the storyline got cut due to budgeting. Like I'm sure they had way more in the works than they actually accomplished or even executed, right? So I don't know. I might lose interest. I hope not. I think Southern Charm is so dynamic and fun, and definitely some drama, but I like the drama when it takes it away from my own personal, family matters or life matters, right? But yeah, I've been watching that. Getting the house in order was like my biggest goal this week so that I could really, really enjoy my Cozy Gal weekend. And Garrett left on Tuesday. He was flying to where was he? Pennsylvania. I knew that he had a layover in Baltimore, so I kept thinking it was Baltimore, but it definitely was not Baltimore. But he left on Tuesday to do some site scans for his work, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have Tuesday and Wednesday all to myself. I kind of went a little crazy when we were on our way home last week from Iowa, where I was shopping online, and I bought a handful of things, starting with new cleaning supplies. I have had intentions. I've been working on this since probably 2019, 2018, of just really focusing on the products that we have in our house when it comes to food consumption. I have been vigilant on, we don't really have chips. We don't really have processed foods. My mom didn't really raise me on processed foods in general. Of course, like there was a couple things that we ate that were, processed or ultra processed, but my mom made a meal 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and did that my entire life. She always cooked for us, always fed for us. It just always was in the kitchen cooking. And in college, like there was definitely some like convenience items that I like to eat, right? Nobody is perfect. And I'm not talking about like having to never ever eat anything like ice cream or cookies or candy again. But I've just really focused on doing it myself, whether it is making jam, right? Like I have had the hobby of picking strawberries from a strawberry patch and being able to make my own jam. And I started sourdough last year. So having a sourdough starter and making my own bread. And with sourdough starter, if you've watched any videos or have any sort of inkling, you know that you have so much discard. You're having to feed this sourdough every single day. So with that, it comes recipes for sourdough discard cookies or banana bread or tortillas or crackers. Like there's so many things. And I really find so much joy in creating and baking and just finding different ways to experience the same things in my kitchen. So it's been fun, right? Like I've been hyper vigilant on making sure our home had whole foods, that we weren't focused on some of the other things that, one, they don't even taste good, but two, they're not even that good for you. And obviously this can mean different things for different people, but like I was avoiding food dyes. I was avoiding canola oil. I was trying to just pick the most healthy option possible. And I feel like we've done a really, really great job with this for the past years, couple of years. It's a lifestyle change. It's being just more proactive in the grocery store line, right? And one of those things that I never really thought about was our cleaning supplies, or I've definitely heard about it, right? Like I've heard that cleaning supplies can disrupt your endocrine system, that it can be really just disruptive for your hormones. And I kept telling myself, oh, I'll do it next time, or I'll get to it. I need to do some more research on it or whatever. And I don't know, like our pantry has been really clean. Like we, as in like we're getting into routines of the things that we normally eat and we normally have. And as I'm like, looking at my lifestyle as a whole and back to the dream journal and like what I want to do in the next year and how I'm going to feel and what I'm going to look like and what will I be doing day to day. I kind of got this sense that now is the time, and I ordered from Branch Basics. This is a brand that I've heard countless reviews about. I have really just heard amazing things about them. And I was like, you know what? Like, I want to try them too. I ordered their like starter pack. It has all the spray bottles, and I went back and forth. I was like, do I need the spray bottles? Like I have a spray bottle. And what really got me is it has the different lines for what you're using it for. So if you're using Windex, which I like when I was purchasing like the essentials kit or the starter pack or whatever you want to call it, I wasn't really thinking about all the things. I knew I needed dishwater tablets. I knew that I wanted to replace our laundry detergent and the soap in our kitchen, essentially. But in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe we'll still have Dawn. Maybe, I'll still have like the toilet bowl cleaner. No. As soon as I got these products and started using them, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I wasn't sure. Like I've tried different laundry detergent in the past. Like there was these like paper detergent sheets that were, what was it? It was like earth something, Eco Earth. I don't know. I tried that and I really didn't like the smell of them. Didn't really like the smell was the biggest thing, because I felt like if it smells, like if it's scent, then obviously like that's disrupting. And like even like beauty products is the next thing, but like I have not used aluminum deodorant since I was in high school, right? Like I've always used like the non-aluminum, the non-paraben. I love the Native brand, like the Native citrus, whichever one has the citrus in it. I love that one. That's the one I use all the time. So I was like, all right, we're going to do this. Now is the time. Like it's the start of the year. It's been on my resolutions, and I when Garrett left, I was like, okay, my package had arrived of the Branch Basics, and I was just waiting for the opportunity. I ordered it like the previous Thursday or Friday, and it arrived like on Wednesday, like when he left. And as I opened up the box, I was like, or maybe it arrived the day before he left, and I was like, have you seen the TikTok sound? It's like, I can't laugh now. I've got to hold it in. That was me. I was like, I can't laugh now. I can't do it now. I got to wait until he leaves. So he went on his work trip, and I started to declutter. I started to purge. I went through every single cleaning supply, all of our cabinets that kind of like we have one above our laundry room, and we have one underneath our sink. That kind of just had like an onslaught of products, and it started to kind of overflow. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so overwhelming. It has a lot going on. I need to clean this up. I need to take the time to organize it and to put things, back together. Right. So I hadn't cleaned out, those and I still have 2 more cabinets to go through. I need to go through the primary bathroom cabinet and the spare bathroom cabinets, because I know that there's like some products in there, one that have probably expired because they're old, like lotions or body products that I haven't used in so long, but they're still just like taking up space in my storage. So I need to go ahead and purge those. But I did my hall closet, I did above the laundry room, I did under the sink. I took out these like little rubber mats that I had. I sprayed everything down with the concentrate. I picked up the things that I no longer wanted to have in the house. I donated them to my dad. I know that he'll use the products. And hopefully after I use my products for a while, I can get him switched over as well. But I just decided that I was over it. I want to have like a really conducive environment to what I want. So sorry, Rooster just barked for, I don't know why, but he got spooked. Anyways, I just want an environment that is conducive to like my goals and conducive to the things that I want to do and the goals and the aspirations I have for myself. And that includes like the cleaning supplies in my house. And it had been a goal and an aspiration that I wanted to do, but I just felt like it was so overwhelming. And just like I said in last week's episode, like I have these like aspirations. I know what I want to do with my year. I know what goals I'm chasing after. And my words are simplify and execute. And I want to simplify my routine. And so with Branch Basics, it's literally like a concentrate. And I was nervous about a concentrate. I was like, is this actually going to clean? Because I personally, I love bleach. I love being able to just like the mental side of it. Like when you use bleach, you know it's clean. Or that's what they say, right? Like bleach will kill 99.9% of germs. And when I think about like raw meat, I'm like, I want to make sure that this raw meat on my cutting board is completely clean, or on my counter, right? Or using it in the bathrooms. So for the concentrate, I was like, oh my gosh, like I really want this to be clean. I haven't used bleach in probably over a year. I've been using like a vinegar and water cleaner. I've been using, it's called Colt. Oh my gosh. It was like a Colt soap. And it said, we're not a bad cult, we're a good cult, like on the side of it. I can't remember what it's actually called, but it was a concentrate too, of soap. And I've been using that for like our hand soap. So I was kind of like already like starting the process of switching things over, not using bleach. But like I said, I like toilet bowl cleaner, like that is just standard. But I know that will disrupt your system. And so I have just been trying to just get away from that. So definitely just simplifying my entire cleaning cabinet. I have so much space underneath my cabinet now and above my washer because it was just like various things that I didn't even use anymore, or we just really didn't have the capacity for. So seriously, just I'm feeling so proud, and I'm feeling really productive in that aspect because I can look at this past week and say, I checked that off, right? And I made a little mistake. So I'm cleaning everything out. I'm pulling things out of the cabinet. And I thought Garrett was going to get home on Wednesday night. He did not. He came home early. He switched his flight so that he actually got here at noon. So from the previous night, I'd pulled out a bunch of products that I needed to bring over to my dad's. I had a couple trash bags full of just like expired things, miscellaneous things. I cleaned out our fridge, from leftovers. And it was just like, it was in the progress of getting clean. It was in the progress of picking everything up. And he comes home, he's like, what is going on? And I was like, I'm switching over cleaning supplies, right? We're no longer going to be using these. And you know what? He's usually pretty supportive about any of the crazy things that I do or any of the like mindsets that I have around something. So he's like, okay, babe, like if this is what you want to do. But yeah, so I feel really good and productive about cleaning all of that out. Another thing that I was a little concerned about is like using the soap, like for the washing machine for my clothes. I don't necessarily need scent for my clothes, but I want to know that my clothes are clean. I want to be able to not smell any sweat. Like when you work out, there's a couple like workout, like sports bra that just like holds scent more. And I was like, I definitely don't want that. I want it to smell fresh. And I know that people will sometimes, they will try and make up for a smell by like spraying a fragrance on it. And I just want my clothes to actually be clean. And the Branch Basics, it's a powder. Okay. I've not used a powder ever in my life. I've never used a powder. And I've used liquid, I've used the pods, but then you use the pods and I'm worried about microplastics. I want to make sure that our world is, as sustainable as possible. So using this powder, I'm like, ooh, like I'm not so sure about this. Guys, when I tell you, I use the booster too. Like they have like a little booster that you can put in. My clothes still, they smell fresh, but not a fragrance fresh. It's insane. Like it is absolutely insane. I've also been trying to do smaller loads so that the clothes are clean. I'm trying to simplify my closet. That'll probably be what I do after I get back home next week. It's just like simplifying my closet, pulling out the things that I no longer really need or do. I feel like I'm getting a late start to the new year-esque of 2025, but I'm on my way. I am picking stuff up. I am simplifying. I know there's like a statistic that says most people like they start to drop off on their New Year's resolutions by the second week of January, and we're at the last week of January. So I am still abiding by the things that I set out. I'm still wanting to do the things that I wrote out. And I don't know if it was just being able to look at my journal again. I think that also helps, like being able to like touch base on your goals consistently instead of just like writing them or thinking this is what I want to do. These are the goals that I have. And then never actually like revisiting them. So the little manifesting journal, the little dream journal with the photos and writing in there. I think the visual is so good. I think that the journaling is so good. And working on that this past weekend, it was really impactful too. So I'm beyond happy to be back home. And when I was talking about like going on these mini vacations, it also gives so much sweetness to coming back to your own home as well. Because I ran the dishwasher at the Airbnb, and I was like, oh, like I am not using my dishwasher pods. Like I could be using my pods, or they're not pods, they're tablets. But I was constantly reminded in that house of like, oh, like I just replaced all my cleaning supplies, and here I'm using their cleaning supplies, right? Like, I don't know. It was nice to just come home. My house was still so clean, and I'm just trying to update and elevate all of my routines. Update and elevate as in like aligning it with like my higher self, the person I want to become, but also like using it. When I say elevate, I don't mean that more is better. I don't mean elevation as I need to add more, have more expensive products. I'm saying elevate as in like what is going to be closest aligned to the person I want to become. And sometimes that's like simplifying, right? Like it is having one concentrate and not having a multitude of different products that are, affecting my hormone health or, upsetting my nervous system in any way, right? So just slowly updating, slowly elevating, getting to be where I want to be. And I know it's a work in progress. I know that I will consistently like try to be better every single day, every single month, every single year, and just working for that better, that best, that highest self and everything that I want to do. And I feel like I'm making a little bit of groundwork, a little bit of leeway and in my intentions. So a lot of Southern charm, a lot of simplifying my routine, a lot of throwing things out. I've been reading Ryan, oh my gosh, Serhant. I had to think at first I was going to say Ryan Seacrest, but I knew that was wrong. Serhant. So speaking of reality TV, I love reality TV. I watched Selling Serhant. It's not a spinoff. He had $1 Million Listing, I think. Maybe that was his previous show, but Selling Serhant is very similar to Selling Sunset, where it is a real estate reality TV show. And I heavily was so invested in these seasons. I think they only had one season, maybe 2 seasons. I think just 1 season, but I loved the dynamic. I loved that it was actually about like the real estate. There was some drama, but not too much drama. It was really, really good. Well, I don't think that they are going to make another season, but I picked up his, it's not a memoir. It's just like another self-help book, if you will. It's called Sell It Like Serhant, and it talks about like a little bit of his life. I've been trying to read one motivational book about every week, maybe. I do read quite quickly, so a book a week is not super overwhelming. It's pretty achievable, pretty easy to do if I put my phone down, right? Like I'm trying to elevate my routine. I'm trying to make sure I'm going to bed at a proper time. So reading before bed has been helpful of that. So I've been reading Sell It Like Serhant, and it's a good book. And the week before that, I read the Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. So 2 books down, almost. I'm almost done with Ryan Serhant, but I think the next one I'm going to pick up is the 3rd Gilmore Girl. I know it's not reality TV, but I'm also trying to get on my book grind again and just picking up a book and immersing myself in it and not necessarily like picking up my phone, because my phone is tied to so much of my work as well. And I don't want to be an iPad kid all the time, but sometimes you just need like a little bit of a break, a little time to immerse yourself in a different story. So I've also been reading books, but yeah, that was this week. Okay. I feel like I am slowly getting back on routine. Last week was kind of just hectic. I felt like I was barely getting my bearings. I was barely getting it all together. And this week I feel centered, but also there's like been some regression as well, which is frustrating and annoying. But overall, I'm just so thankful to be here. Thankful for you. Thank you so much for listening or watching to another podcast episode. Please rate, review, all the things. Don't forget to subscribe if you are on YouTube. You can check out my other media channels because the pursuit of media is always ever consuming. But yeah, Logan Lee Miller on everything else, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of the things, and everywhere else as Golden Hour Drip. If you're in the Kansas City area and looking to find friends, okay, if you're looking for a girl gang, if you're looking for networking opportunities, come to one of our Golden Gal Network events. You can find that on Golden Gal Network on Instagram. And we have a website as well. It's Logan Lee Miller, but all of our events are linked there as well. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.